No, I think Ayas and I and other people can very much connect with that. And what you're saying about if it doesn't make sense, it's not going to continue on in this modern society. Things are changing. I didn't think of it this way before, but now you're saying that I'm myself with my own values and what we learn at home. I'm also applying that. So it's so important that you're saying you get that data, you get all these oral traditions, stories, the reasoning, and you pass it forward. I was wondering more so on this collection process, because there's so many stories, like you said. You can't cover all of Kathmandu, every person's family, and all their stories. So how do you go about choosing the right stories? And also, since you said these are oral stories, over generations they've changed also. So how do you? There's no right story also, right? So how do you go about choosing these different stories, choosing the people also, and choosing the message? You mentioned the themes, so. Anything you can talk about that would be nice. Thank you.
So on choosing the stories, we go to the particular place where if there is festival, the major place where the festival happens, or if it's about the place, we go to the place itself, and then we go there and ask to the community people, like who is the best person who has knowledge on this topic or subject. Then they suggest mostly the senior most person, even if other person knows a lot about the particular subject, they suggest a senior most person, and we mostly go with their suggestion, the community people's suggestion. We also have background research on, we ask with few more people, like who would be the best person to tell the story. So in that way we collect the story, go to the place. In the first meeting we tell them about our setup, like what is Bakhanenewa, what are we trying to do, and we prepare them how should they be prepared. And on the event then we come back, we sit with our team, we finalize a date, and then we share it in social media regarding the venue. We want most people to come on the venue itself, but if they are not able to join in presence, then they can connect us through the Facebook media. We go Facebook Live as well. So in that way, we are being conducting this Bakhanenewa. And regarding the story, yes, we do have lots of versions of a single story or single event or festival, and we collect all those stories. Maybe from a storyteller we get one story, but we do background research on different versions of the stories. And while publishing the book also, we had a conversation with a few more people as well about different version of story. We also put a disclaimer that we are not responsible for the original one, but still we go on search for the different version of the story. And like Raj said, we for the next generation, because we are trying to put it in a form such that children are able to read and they understand the story. So sometimes the story is too vague for even us to understand, and that doesn't make sense for the children. So we try to make it as simple as possible with a simple message that can be transferred. So in that way we are trying to collect the stories, but not change, but make it suitable for children. So in that way we are trying to collect the stories.
So as she said, there are so many versions. It's an oral tradition, right? If I tell the story and if you tell the same story, it will be different, right? If I tell the story today and the same story I tell tomorrow, it will be different. It's oral, right? It's not written down. So we do understand that, and so as he said, we also put a disclaimer that no, we do not claim that this is the only story out there. So do bear with us, right? If your story doesn't match with our stories, we are not responsible for that, right? But regarding the stories themselves, we have so far, because there, as we said, there are so many stories. If we, start we don't know where to start from. We didn't know where to start from. So we decided that we're only going to do it based on certain themes. So that's what we've been doing. So the first theme that we did was about festivals. After that, we did a theme about the names of the places. So why are certain places called what they are, right? So that's the story behind how this place got its name. So that's what we did. After that, we did the Corona. We're still doing it because of COVID. We had to postpone it for a long time. So we're still doing the Corona series, and we're also simultaneously doing the Yenya series, the Indra Jatra series right now. So just to make it simpler for us, we do them by themes. Because if we don't have a theme, then there are so many stories that we get lost, which one we want to do. And as she said, even among the different versions of the stories, we do try to select the version which makes more sense, which is more logical, because some of the stories can be just, don't have any logic to them, and so that doesn't serve our purpose, right? So if there is a version of the same story which makes more sense to us, then it should also make more sense to others. So that's how we decide between the different versions, if there are any, right? And so we do sit down with the storyteller. We do discuss these things as much as we can. But again, on the day of the storytelling, we have no control over how the storyteller tells the story, right? Because what they tell us on the day we met them could be entirely different from the story that they tell on that day, right? So it's because it's oral story anyways. So yeah, that's how it is.